The killer in you is the power in me. Pleased to meet you, so good to see. The killer in you will keep me alive. Back to back, self-sacrifice.
With only a few weeks remaining until Crossroads is premiered, we welcome you here tonight to Millennium 99. And as we get set from nearby for the 100th episode of Millennium, I'm the troublemaker Chloe James at your service for this evening. And we've got quite a lot on deck for you this evening. As in our main event, the #1 contender for the for the Millennium Championship, Tsukasa will face off against former Millennium Champion in Squall Leonheart. And not only that, tonight we will be seeing one half of the team that will be going to the Gauntlet in Jax facing off against Vamp. All of this and much, much more here tonight on Millennium. And speaking of the Tag Team Champions, the Orochi clan have made their presence known in the past here on Millennium. But ever since the beginning of the season, they've been hiding in the shadows. They have more or less left the tag team scene to be decided upon themselves. But here tonight, one half of the Orochi clan will be facing off here tonight in your opening contest here tonight as Rugal Bernstein takes on Stinger of the Q Rangers. And this is the thing really to keep in mind with this one. We've only seen the Orochi clan as a unit in action only once this entire season. That is insane to think about given what has been going on this past season. We've only seen them once team as a unit. But tonight, the Orochi clan making it clear that despite all of that, they are dead set on maintaining their dominance here on this brand and within the tag team scene period as they continue to hold on to those tag team titles. And whether or not we will figure out a challenger for them at Crossroads still remains to be clear. Tonight, however, Rugal has a lot to clear his mind about as he will take on Stinger. Now, Lucky, you gotta remember, was unsuccessful a few weeks ago in becoming the #1 contender for the Crossover Championship. He fell short against Noctis and the eventual #1 contender in Keith Kogane, who will be facing off against Haseo for the Crossover Championship at that event. But you have got to be thinking to yourself, realistically with this one, you got to be thinking to yourself here, this is going to be an opportunity for Stinger to more or less take advantage of everything that has happened and take everything within his own hands. Because if he manages to get a big win tonight over Rugal Bernstein, you've got to be thinking that has got to be big things for the Q Rangers. And we're set up here for our opening contest here this evening for Millennium 99. And Rugal immediately going to the well, immediately driving this match and taking it right into the driver's seat with everything in this regard. But Stinger, on the other hand, maneuvering out of the way of that strike, but unfortunately not able to get much more out of that leg lock. As realistically Stinger has maintained control in this matchup so far. However, Stinger, it's been well documented that Stinger can hold his own, but the fact that he is managing to drive this matchup against Rugal Bernstein of all people has to say a lot in regards to that. And he's holding his own as he deals chop after chop to Rugal Bernstein and going right back onto the assault. No, Stinger, somehow, someway, maintaining the advantage here against Rugal Bernstein, and that is not at all an easy feat, managing only a 1 in the opening minutes of this match. And again, this is the thing you really got to consider with this one. Rugal Bernstein and Orochi in general have been around for quite some time within the All-Star Quali. They've been around ever since the opening years of the company. Granted, they were around back when it was known as Howard Connection back in the day. But the Orochi clan itself has been around since the very inception season of the All-Star Quali. And since then, they have only grown to be more dominant, more powerful, more everything in between as a unit. And to the point where one has to wonder, and wait a minute, no, Stinger getting out of the way and going right there and setting it right back down with the knee. Amazingly, Stinger is taking full advantage and going right to the driver's seat again. Stinger going up top now. What is he thinking? And an elbow drop right to Rugal Bernstein. Going for the pin now. 1, 2. No, only a 1 count again. And again, Rugal still managing to get out at every available opportunity. Continuing to wear down on Stinger, despite the fact that Stinger has taken full advantage of the situation here. And wait a minute. What is he? Oh, God. Stinger hitting it hard there. 1, 2. Only netting a 2 with that elbow right there. Right there, just the feat of strength on his own, just managing to manhandle Rugal just like that again. Continuing to maintain the advantage here, and Rugal thinking he could go for the pin, but no, the referee is distracted here. But even after all of that, Rugal is still, no. I was about to say Rugal is still managing to maintain that control here, but Stinger going right back to the well again, going right for it one more time. And really, it's been a very interesting back and forth between Rugal and Stinger in this contest here tonight. And yet, this is the one that opens up Millennium for tonight, and the fact that Stinger is not immediately getting completely blitzed by Rugal Bernstein is a feat in its own right that should be celebrated. Stinger going right back onto it again, going for the lariats and going right there for the short arm strikes, and continuing to wear down and showing that, yes, indeed, he is the more powerful feat of strength member of the Q Rangers here. While Lucky does have the high flag advantage in his corner, Rugal is now maintaining all of that control back onto his end now. And now Rugal, who has spent the majority of this more or less taking out, has basically been taking the damage. Now, after everything with that, he is the one who is dishing out all the damage in return. And realistically, this is something that Rugal has been known to do, to maintain that level of control all throughout it. And there we go again. Using all of his strength and maintaining everything in regards to this one here. And no! We were about to see the Genocide Cutter. We were about to see the Genocide Cutter hit. But no, Stinger trying to lock in the ankle lock just like that. But it doesn't do a damn thing to Rugal, who immediately goes back onto the assault. But no, Stinger on the other hand. No, Rugal getting out of it. And Rugal, as if to taunt away at Stinger. Wait a minute, he's focusing now on Lucky here. And oh god, blitzing at Lucky there. But focusing his efforts away from Stinger in that moment might be detrimental here right now. Because Stinger's going right back to the well immediately. Going back onto the assault. But is that one moment going to be detrimental to Rugal in this moment as he focuses his efforts right back onto Stinger again? And that one level of distraction, that might have cost him in regards to that one. As Stinger goes back to the forearm strikes, and that busts open Rugal Bernstein just like that. But Rugal, incensed as it were by the assault to this point, continues to pummel away at Stinger after everything he has dealt with at this point. But Stinger, still after everything, fights back. Still after everything, fights back. No, he's going for the choke. But no, Stinger setting it up right here. Venomous! Venomous sting! 1, 2, no! A second venomous sting does not heed the match, does not seed the match for Stinger in this regard. The fact that he's pulled out 2 of them on Rugal Bernstein at this point, and Rugal is still surviving. The fact that he was close to a 3 count after everything, you have to be thinking to yourself, Stinger has to be going full on right here against Rugal Bernstein. You gotta be thinking he's gonna be pulling out everything, including the kitchen sink, up against Rugal Bernstein. I guess, say what you will about the fact that Q Rangers have not managed that much of a success since moving to Millennium. But here right now, you are 100% seeing one of the most one of the most closest matchups we have seen against any member of the Orochi clan in recent memory, and Rugal Bernstein is showing exactly why he is one of the more dominating men here on the Millennium brand. But here's the thing as well, Stinger has definitely been focusing his efforts. He has definitely gotten close in this matchup. You cannot take that away from Stinger in this regard. And the double whammy right there, pummeling him into the referee and using that as a distraction. And now using it to his advantage to maintain control of this matchup. Stinger is not looking good now. It's been a good match so far. And with the genocide cutter, I think, not the genocide cutter, with the genocide cutter, it only nets him a 2 count with that one there. Sorry, I'm mixing up everything tonight. This matchup, this opening contest has been an interesting one here tonight, as Stinger still manages to get up after everything that he's put through with Rugal here tonight. And he's still, despite everything, despite the toll this match has taken on him, he is still pulling out everything that he can in order to try and beat Rugal Bernstein. Really, here's the thing you gotta keep in mind with Rugal. Despite everything, and wait a minute, no, poison choke! Poison choke from out of nowhere onto Rugal Bernstein, but no! He let it go. Stinger realized he was close to the ropes with that one. He realized that the ring position would favor Rugal in that regard, but he still should have tried to lay him out with the poison choke with that one. It looked like Rugal would have been close if he managed to go for it, but now Rugal, oh god, and a second genocide cutter again. And now Rugal, he's incensed. He could have gone for the pin off the genocide cutter alone, but he's going back onto the assault onto Stinger as if to prove a point. As if to prove a point against Stinger here tonight, after being forced against everything in order to maintain the advantage. While he's been left on the back burner all matchup, it's to prove a point that yes, he is the more dominant, he is the more powerful of the two. And really, at this point, I think it's more just trying to teach a lesson to the entire roster at large. And really, if this is a lesson, then Jesus Christ, Rugal, you are definitely laying it out flat here tonight. And Stinger once again getting a pop-up punch right for his merits with that one. And continuing to just get pummeled right here, despite everything that he's done so far in this matchup. Stinger is still being laid out here by Rugal Bernstein, and Christ, gets out of the way with a punch and goes right back for it again! And now Stinger, you have to imagine he has to be thinking to himself, poison choke again! Poison choke again! He's near the ropes, but Rugal is still in trouble here. He's got that poison choke locked in hard, and yet Rugal is still... The fact that Rugal has not tapped out yet. And Stinger is putting everything into the poison choke here. He's putting every damn thing into that poison choke, and you have to imagine, after everything that has gone through in this match... No! Rugal gets out of the poison choke. And wait a minute. No! Chokeslam backbreaker denied. And now pummeling away still at Stinger. Continuously not keeping him on the defensive. Not giving him an inch in this matchup anymore. And setting him right back down with a Death Valley driver. What on earth are you thinking here, Rugal? And no. Oh, God, and an elbow drop right to the outside. The velocity alone with the weight of Rugal. You have to imagine that he's utilizing all of it on purpose. At this point, Stinger has exhausted everything in his playbook in order to keep Rugal down, and yet he still cannot do it. This is more of desperation at this point. 1, 2, no. I'll be honest, not that I was thinking he was going to manage a 2 count, but hey, it was worth a shot. Now going back to the flurry of strikes right there on to between Rugal and Stinger. Stinger still, unfortunately, not able to net anything with that one, and Rugal taking full advantage of it. And now here it comes, a choke toss just like that. And I think Rugal at this point is saying it's time for the kill shot. Here it comes. Dead End Screamer incoming. If he hits this, it's over! There we go. Dead End Screamer hits the target. 1, 2, 3. Stinger had a hard-fought matchup against him here tonight. But Rugal Bernstein is once again proving why the Orochi clan are still some of the most dominating members of the Millennium roster today, both as a unit and solo. And after that massive win here tonight, we welcome you back to Millennium 99 as we get set for another big matchup here tonight. as one of the teams that has qualified for the Gauntlet for the tag team title #1 contendership. One half of them will be facing off against one of the teams that was unsuccessful in facing off for that opportunity. As Vamp is looking to make a name for himself as he faces off against one half of Soldier in Jax here tonight. Now, Vamp and Paul Phoenix have definitely not been on the same page as of late as solo competitors. They were close to getting into the Gauntlet, but they unfortunately faltered at the hands of the Remnants of Despair just a few weeks ago. And tonight, however, Vamp has got his work cut out for him here tonight. As you can see, Jax flanked by his handler in Raven. Now, Jax is no stranger to being dominant in one-on-one action. Raven has definitely brought out a beast in Jax that has not been seen in quite some time. And while it's been a lot more menacing as of late for both members of Soldier, you have to imagine to yourself here that to them it's not business, it's not personal, it's not anything against the fans, it is simply them trying to prove their dominance. And while the fans have definitely got a bit of a mixed bag about everything that has happened since Soldier have returned, let's make it clear in this regard, Soldier is definitely wanting to make a name for themselves in that Gauntlet. But tonight, Jax has to prove himself in solo action here tonight. Jax barely moving as Vamp starts out the contest going into his corner, trying to go for those slight strikes to the body. Managing to lay out Jax in that regard. And Raven just looking on, seemingly out of concern, but you would also have to argue that it's also equally in part to instill knowledge upon him given everything that we have seen thus far. And the chops continuing, and no, Vamp taking 1 second out of that in order to taunt. And now Jax back on the offensive again, giving him barely any quarter whatsoever, and focusing his efforts hard onto ensuring that Vamp is taken out. And wearing down on Vamp, not throwing him back into the ring, but continuing nonetheless to dish out the damage onto him at this point. Jax and Vamp, no strangers to fighting off against one another. They have faced off against each other in the past, but Jax absolutely demolishing Vamp in these opening minutes of the match. I mean, Vamp did definitely have some level of an advantage, but that advantage dwindled just as easily as it began. And now you can see that Vamp trying to get that advantage back into his corner now, trying to focus hard here as he continues to wear down on Jax Briggs at this point here. And it's not looking good for... No. I was about to say it's not looking good for Jax, but Jax immediately taking the advantage back into his corner, wearing down on Vamp in that moment, and setting him back up, deadlifting him from the ground, lifting him up for all to see, showing his strength and laying him right back down again. This is really the thing that I've been talking about ever since Soldier have returned, that these two men in particular have showcased how they are still some of the most dominant men, both as solo competitors as they are members of a tag team. And you can see just how focused, but as well as that, you can see just how domineering these two men really are, as Jack's not wasting any time setting him up for the gotcha grab slam. 1, 2, this is it. No! Not a 2 count. Not a 3 count, I should say, only a 2 count. Only netting a 2 count for Vamp, and Vamp is getting his second win out of the entire equation entirely. And wait a minute, Vamp managing to set him up for a one-handed chokeslam just like that. And Vamp continuing to try and maintain the advantage here, setting him up for a crucifix powerbomb here. Jax looks to be in trouble! Getting clipped on the way down from the ropes at a 1, 2. No! Only a 2 count there. Only a 2 count onto Jax Briggs. Really, this is the thing that is going immediately Jax back on the offensive again, but no! Vamp immediately going right back to the well onto the assault. And immediately, he's going right back to what started it off to begin with. He's going right back to the thing that slipped him up in the first place. And the test of strength from both of these men, and Vamp practically being called on by Jax just to go right for the strikes there. Both of these men continuing to dish it out against one another here. Continuing at every point to maintain the advantage. And no, Jax caught him out and leads to immediately going for the strikes. Going for the strikes against one another here. Jax immediately going right back onto the assault, but no, Vamp flipped him at the legs. Flipped him at the legs, and Raven looking on at Vamp in the ring, focusing his efforts, putting some more confidence into Jax as he gets back up to his feet. And Jax immediately back onto the offensive, not giving Vamp any room to breathe. And a deadlift powerbomb right for his efforts just with that one. Jax is right back into the driver's seat again. But Vamp utilizing the advantage, utilizing that one opening. Hip toss just like that, getting him down for the pin. 1, 2, only a 2 count at that. Now scraping Jax up against the ropes. Vamp trying his best to maintain some level of dominance here. Trying to maintain the advantage. Trying to maintain the control of this matchup. Cutting Jax off with the lariat. Definitely maintaining that right here. And now setting him up here for a follow-away slam right into the corner turnbuckle. Now Vamp trying to go for it one more time, setting it up once more here. Setting up a one more crucifix power bomb! 1, 2, no! Not a free count. Vamp thought he had it with that one. Vamp, you can tell Vamp thought that he had him. He thought that he had him in that regard. And once again, Vamp trying to wear down everything that he can with that in regards to Jax at this point. But you've got to be thinking to yourself here. You have got to be thinking to yourself in regards to everything we have seen to this point. Jax immediately has to be thinking that despite everything, he has to try and get that opening. He has to try and maintain control in this regard. But at this point, where exactly are you going to go after 2 crucifix powerbombs didn't lay out Jax in this regard? And Jax has barely looked like he has anything. Jax barely looks like he's been even assaulted, that he's barely had anything dealt against him. He's still practically running at near 100% despite everything in this. I mean, Jax at this point is a focused beast, and Raven is looking on with pride, knowing that who he has been handling for the last 12 months has more or less come out in full force. You can tell that Jax is more or less using this to try and show to Raven that yes, he is just as powerful, he is just as beastly as he was back when he first entered this company. He is arguably, he is much more of a beast than he was back in those days, as he's going right back to the well one more time. Vamp is not looking good here. He is in trouble at this point, and it might be... Oh! Hard hitting arm lariat right there into the corner. And setting him up. This might be the end for Vamp if this hits. Gotcha grab slam once again. 1, 2, 3. It's game over. Jax once again managing a massive victory here tonight, and Raven is looking on with pride, knowing that he has once again gotten another win in the books for Soldier. And if this is what they're going to bring to the Gauntlet, we may very well be seeing the next #1 contenders right here with Jax and especially Barrett. And we are back here tonight here on Millennium as we get set after a massive night of action for your main event of the evening. As Squall Leonheart, one man who has definitely had a bit of an up and down season as it is looking to provide one more test to Tsukasa leading in to his matchup against the current Millennium Champion Sherman Abimoto. And this is the thing you've got to keep in mind with this one. Squall, who has been up against Sherman Abimoto this season, has seen firsthand what the Millennium Champion has been like. Even though he has barely been on Millennium programming, even though he has barely been in action since winning the damn belt, all of his competitors have more or less been putting in the hard yards. Meanwhile, the #1 contender, Tsukasa, has been making himself known this entire season, despite faltering at last year's Grand Slam. Tonight, Tsukasa is making it clear that despite every pitfall, despite everything that has happened up until this point, he is not going down without a fight, and he is looking to prove himself worthy of going to that main event and going to face off for the Millennium Championship at Crossroads against Sherman Abimoto. You've got to be thinking to yourself here, despite every pitfall that has happened to this point, And while he has definitely managed a few key wins since that matchup against the Sayer back at the Grand Slam that he faltered at, tonight, the phenomenal Wave Master has got to be thinking to himself, tonight is just another win leading into potentially besting the Reaper of this brand. You've got to be thinking to yourself here that Tsukasa has to be going into this with all the momentum in the world, especially after besting all those men in the Gauntlet, of which Squall was one of them, but he did face off against directly. Tonight, however, we're about to see what would have happened if these two squared off in that Gauntlet. And Tsukasa letting his more cockier side come out against Squall, and that one was a mistake, because Squall is immediately going right back to the well and going onto the assault here. And no, Squall with the death drop and immediately going for the pin. One, only getting a 1 for his troubles. Now Squall bashing into the skull of Tsukasa in that moment. Now Squall going up top, and no, Tsukasa getting out of the way, seeing him on the way down, going right back onto the assault there. And no, Squall, no, seizing the opportunity to get Tsukasa back, and no, grabbing him by the head, but no, Tsukasa going right back to it again. And continuing his efforts, Tsukasa sending him into the ropes, and no, an arm drag, just like that, keeping Squall down. Wearing him down on the arms just like that, and continuing to maintain that advantage here, sending Squall right into the corner, and continuing to shuttle it down just like that. No! Springboard leg drop off the ropes with his head on in between them at this point. Tsukasa maintaining control of this matchup here, and continuing to maintain the control right here. And Squall might be in trouble with this one. Squall definitely looks to be in trouble, looking to clip the legs, but Tsukasa does not connect right there onto Squall. Squall trying to send him into the way of the referee at this point, but no. Referee gets out of the way and clipping the legs finally of Squall. Definitely a good way of trying to mitigate everything of his arsenal, and that especially includes the gunblade. Going for the calf killer, unfortunately, does not net that much, but now going for the high kicks. And those high kicks and the high punches right there from both of these men. And the control at this point is hanging on a knife's edge between the both of them at this point. These two trading blow for blow at this point. It is not looking good for either man at this point here. Trading blow for blow against one another, and now here it comes, going for blow, shot for shot against one another. Continuing the assault, and Tsukasa getting out of dodge, immediately going back onto the assault. Tsukasa, on the other hand, getting beaten down by Squall with an opening just like that. Continuing to wear down arm for arm just like that. And continuing, after everything, getting bit by bit on down onto Tsukasa. Squall getting the advantage into his corner now in the gut wrench. Gut wrench, gut buster, just like that, and Squall immediately, no hesitation, setting him up for the gunblade. He's already been busted open, he's already dealt so much damage. He's looking to end it quickly here tonight. Looking to end it with the quickness here tonight. 1, 2, no. Everyone trying to end it with the quickness here tonight has ended up faltering. And now it's beyond. Now here tonight, you've got to be thinking to yourself here that it is not looking to be. Oh God! Springboard splash right to the outside, hitting Tsukasa down there on the right there onto the outside. But again, Squall could be maintaining the driver's seat position here, but no, springboard kick denied. And sweeping down with the, and right there with the leg sweep and setting him right back down just like that, and looks to be setting it up. No! Squall maintaining the velocity, not allowing him to ride the wave right there, and Tsukasa having to maintain the advantage, trying his damnedest here to continue everything here. And no, Tope over the ropes! A Tope over the ropes manages to lay down Squall on his back, and wait a minute, Calf Killer on the outside! Calf Killer on the outside right there onto Squall, trying his best. Squall is not going to be able to tap out on the outside with that one, but Tsukasa nonetheless utilizing it on the outside, utilizing that advantage away from all forms of the ropes just like that. And right now, Tsukasa immediately utilizing that advantage, going back, setting Squall right back down, going for the pin now. 1, 2, 3, no! Only a 2 count with that one. Squall looks to be in trouble with this one here. Tsukasa has gotten the advantage back onto his side. Elbow drop and laying him down onto his back. 2. Only a 2 right there onto Squall. And now Squall. No, Inzaguri does not connect fully onto Squall just like that. And Tsukasa getting out of dodge of the assault just like that. Looking for chop after chop after chop. And now Squall going right. Squall looks to be in trouble here. Tsukasa continuously wearing down at the chest. And now it's not looking good here. Squall being set up top. Tsukasa on the other hand, what is he thinking here? Hurricane Rana from the top of the rope. Using the velocity of the Hurricane Rana to wear down on Squall Leonheart, going right for those high kicks in return. Squall not looking good here. Tsukasa looks to be maintaining every sense of the advantage here into his side. Now setting up Tsukasa right onto the ropes. What on earth is Squall thinking here? Laying him flat onto the ropes right there on his gut, and now a big boot right to the skull once again. And now Squall thinking to himself here. Squall thinking to himself, what on earth do I gotta do in order to keep this guy down? What do I gotta do in order to keep Tsukasa down? And the answer may very well surprise you, because Tsukasa has done quite a bit in order to stay in the position that he's in. Tsukasa, on the other hand, getting busted open just like that. Squall not looking good, getting a Pele for his troubles. Getting a Pele for his troubles. And a big knee right to the skull of Squall Leonheart. Continuing to get the already bloodied up skull pummeled just like that. And it is still not looking good here. No! Squall reverses it just like that. And a stampede just like that. And looking to go for the gunblade one more time onto Tsukasa. This might be dangerous. This might not be good for him. If he connects! 1, 2, no! Tsukasa kicks out of a gunblade for a second time. And Squall is making sure that he pays dearly for that. We're going to make sure that he pays dearly for kicking out of it twice. Tsukasa, on the other hand, has taken shot after shot. Squall maintaining everything, but it might come back to haunt him hard as he rides the wave one more time. 1, 2, 3. And a massive win here tonight for Tsukasa. A massive win for the phenomenal Waste Master leading into his matchup in a few weeks at Crossroads against the current Millennium Champion in Shogunami Moto. And you have to be imagining to yourself, if he brings this level of action to his matchup against Sho, he may very well call himself— No! I was about to say he would be able to call himself the new Millennium Champion, but it looks as though Sho heard my comments about not being seen here on Millennium in quite some time. And it looks as though commentator's curse has come back to haunt me hard. And Tsukasa, despite being out of it, despite everything after he's gone through an already vicious encounter, he's getting wailed on right here by our frankly absolutely maniacal world champion, the Reaper of Shibuya, in Shogunami Moto, and he's trying to cripple the world champion. He's trying to cripple the number one contender before he has to face off against him for his Millennium Championship in a few weeks. Jesus Christ. Here I thought we were done with these antics for a very long time, but it seems as though Shogunami Moto decided that, yeah, I am going to show my face, but it is going to be to punish the person that may very well take that belt away from me in a few weeks. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You don't think Tsukasa's been dealing with these tactics for years? He's built up— it's almost like he's built up an immunity to it, so I don't know what you're reasonably doing here with this one, but it is not going to lead to you getting the advantage here. It's still dastardly, it is still maniacal, and it is still one of the worst things you can do is assault a man after an already incredible encounter. And Sho is just absolutely taking full advantage of it. Christ. He's looking on. I mean, Squall is already out of it. He's already just completely out of it on the outside at this point. And Sho just still taking full advantage of it here with that one. And Sho just still taking full advantage of everything with Squall already completely out of it on the outside. And getting assault after assault just like that. But you gotta be thinking to yourself here after everything. And God! I don't know what else to say at this point. The fact that Sho is this desperate enough to do something like this says more than anything else could. And I'll be clear about this here. And I know exactly what he's about to do. It's not as though that he laid out everything off this table for no reason. We all know exactly what he's about to do here. He's about— Christ, don't you dare tell me. He's really going to ensure that Tsukasa is fully laid out. He's going to ensure that he is down for the count. Christ! Oh! God, and a spine buster right through the announce table. No, God, he's really not done. He's really not done? The man is sick. The man is desperate. And he knows he's going to lose the belt in 2 weeks.